Hey, I'm Chris. Welcome to Capturing Chris, my testing grounds for new ideas in travel, photography, and exciting destinations, one frame at a time. So today, I wanted to talk about fear. And fear is a real thing in a lot of the things we do. Right now, I'm fearful of the Drakester's hip surgery. He's got a dislocated hip. He's going to be in a body cast for 2 months. I'm afraid how he's going to react to that. I'm fearful that this stand store isn't going to work out. My digital products aren't going to sell. I'm fearful that my YouTube channel is not going to take off the way I want it to. So I'm clinging to any glimmer of hope that I get in the form of data to try and help overcome that fear. Now, someone said, you have nothing to fear but fear itself. And a lot of wise people have told me, really shouldn't worry about it until it happens or until you see the results of what happened, because you never know how it's going to end up. Now, and I try to incorporate that into my life. As I was sitting in the emergency room, I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to need surgery. I was like, well, let's see what the doctor say. And even when the doctor came back and said, oh, no, we'll probably get up there this evening, I'm like, well, what did the oral and maxillofacial surgeon say? He's like, I don't know, I got to call into him. So even with that news, I was a little afraid of what was going on. But, it turns out the oral surgeon said, you know what, it's not, those fractures aren't as bad. I think they'll heal on their own. And let's see in the office tomorrow, we'll reevaluate. So I would have spent half the day worrying about something and half the evening that wasn't going to happen. Now, the real estate market's not doing great. Real estate sales are down. But I'm kind of turning that fear into, when am I going to take another listing picture for a real estate agent, into, hey, an action. Hey, we need to pivot and find another way to earn income because we have a mortgage and we have to eat. We have insurance payments, and all of them important. So sometimes fear can drive us. But fear plays into a lot of things, especially when it comes to starting things. If we don't start, we don't have to worry about whether we fail or not. So I don't know why so many assume it's going to be a failure. When I start something, I'm kind of envisioning how busy I'm going to be when it starts working out, and what steps am I going to take to make sure it's successful. I go into it thinking it's going to be successful. Back in the back of my mind, I might be like, well, what if it's not? Well, what if it's not? At least I tried, and I know some things I might not be good at. But if that's the case, then I will have tried, and I'll know. And I'll either do what I need to do to get better at that thing, or I'll be like, oh, it wasn't that important to me anyway. So that's kind of where fear plays into kind of my aura and my universe. It can drive you. It can get the adrenaline going. It can do a lot of things, but it can also paralyze you. It can make you depressed. It can make you inactive. And that's not healthy. we're here for a very limited amount of time. And we really should be doing everything we can to make sure we're not only happy, but getting some good out of everything. So if you're thinking about hitting that record button, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, I guess the worst that could happen is you see it, it's horrible, and you decide not to post it. That's the worst that could happen. But in reality, not many people have their first YouTube videos turn out to be great. And it's funny, as I watch these Stan Store videos, and I love the fact that everybody's sharing their videos, and people are like, oh, this is they called it a cringe video, so it's the one that everyone hates the most. They're not bad. They're entertaining. I don't know if it's because I'm relating to how they feel, but it's not bad. The videos aren't bad. So we are our own worst critics. And sometimes that's because we like to be critical of others. So we feel as though we need to give ourselves the same treatment, so we're not hypocritical. But if we just give ourselves a break and give others a break and realize that they're trying the best they can, then it's a lot different way to go through life. And you don't want to limit your dreams, and you don't want to limit your ambitions. The sky's the limit. Anything that you want to try, you should try it. The worst thing that happens is it doesn't work. And then so what? You wasted a little bit of time, but now you know. You don't have to ask yourself, I wish I would have. You know, when my dad died when I was 12, that was the one thing I decided right then. Even at 12, I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to say I wish I would have. That's why I became an instrument-rated pilot. That's why I became scuba certified. That's why I jumped out of an airplane. That's why I've flown in a hot air balloon. That's why I've been to Africa on a 3-week safari with my daughter. That's why I've been to Asia and Australia. I love to travel. I know that. And I don't have the money to do all those things, especially in a way that most people would enjoy doing them. But I've decided the experience is better than having an expensive trip where I could do one of those 3 trips and do it in style, or I could bootstrap it and do 4 trips, but enjoy the experience. And for me, that's what I've decided is important. So when we look at fear, try and remember that a lot of people probably have that same fear. And the fact that you're actually doing something and addressing that, or going for your dreams or shooting for your goals, and pitching fear aside, puts you in like the top 90%, because the other 90% would rather just sit there and worry about what happens if it doesn't work, or what if this happens, or what if that happens. What if it does? You adjust and you relook at it and you recalibrate and you maybe come at it from a different angle. But as long as you do your best and you know you gave it the old college try, so to say, then that's it. You tried. If you tried and failed, learn from it. And if it's still important to you, then clearly you need to try again. Come at it from a different angle. So hit that start button. I've been saying 20 videos sometimes. It's probably more like 10 before you really get things going. But, I sat down, I knocked out 10 videos about my stand store in 2 hours yesterday. And they were good. I mean, look at my face. I've got a bandage there, bruising everywhere. But I needed to do it. I've got to drive traffic to my stand store. So that's what I'm going to do. So, not saying you need to do 10 videos in a day. I'm saying the sooner, maybe do 10 videos in 3 weeks. Or maybe do 10 videos in 10 weeks. Whatever you need to make you feel comfortable with the process, then do it. You don't have to edit. I edit very little of these on purpose because I hate editing. So I'm happy when I can do one take. And I think sometimes leaving the places I probably should edit in instead of taking them out helps you understand that sometimes it's better to perform a task than not do a task. I was a real estate agent at one time when I was 21. It wasn't the right move for me at the time because you make no money. Jeez. I mean, and back then, houses were selling for $100,000 if they were good, $50,000 if they were bad, and the broker takes half that, and so you got to sell 2 houses to make ends meet. And when you're the youngest one, unless you've caught fire and sold some stuff pretty quick, everybody wants to go with the premier agent. But I tried it, and I'm glad I did, because one, I found out, maybe not be for me, straight commission. So I started down a different journey, started in medical, where they paid me for my services or my knowledge. That worked out great for me. I made 6 figures from the age of 24 on, up until 2018 when I started my own company. Then that 6-figure income kind of went south. But I'm trying new things. I've opened 3 companies. Not all of them have been great. One of them is still around. So sometimes the concept was just before its time. But at least I know. And I know what not to do. So in real estate, they taught us it's better to do something than to do nothing. So even if you should have sent a thank you note or a note to a customer and it's a month late, it's better to send it now than not send it at all. Because at the time, it was all about contacts. Right now, we got to touch people 14 times to successfully market something to them. That's a lot. So we got to keep trying new ways to do that. We'll see ya. We got to keep trying new ways to do that. And remember the words of John Candy in the possibly best movie of all time, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, where Steve Martin's yelling at him because he's pissed him off and caused him to miss something. And he's like, you're like a little chatty Cathy draw, never stall, but never shuts up. You pull the string and you go on and on and on. And then John says, I like me. And if you don't, that's your problem, basically, is what he says. And, I think that's a lot of what's going on with this fear. Just do it for you. Do it because you like you. And that should be enough. Hit that record button and let's get going. And if you need some help, you need some coaching on how to get started or what to do or what to say, sign up for a coaching call and we'll get you fast-tracked. But I hope that's helpful. We'll talk to you guys soon. This is where I experiment. If you want to see the real side of the journey and some exciting destinations along the way, subscribe now and follow along. Don't miss the next video. Hit subscribe.